Would you actually use Instagram more if you could control your feed, seeing only the posts from the people that you actually follow, the people that you actually care about? Turns out, even though many of us say we want this, the data shows otherwise. Welcome to this week's Rocky Mountain Marketing Quickcast. This is your go-to source for actionable advice and the latest news in social media and digital marketing. Every Thursday in just 8 to 12 minutes, I'm going to be delivering quick, impactful tips to help you stay ahead in the fast-paced digital landscape. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to this week's Rocky Mountain Marketing Quickcast episode. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of you have probably wondered about. Why can't we have a feed that is a following only feed on Instagram or Facebook anymore? We're being shown people, creators, companies that we don't really care about. You know, where you only see the updates from the people that you actually have chosen to follow? Well, those days are long gone. And I have some news for you. Instagram is not going to be bringing it back anytime soon. And there's actually a really good reason for this. So if you've been annoyed by all the content from random profiles that you've never followed, trust me, you are not alone. In fact, many people have been asking Instagram for years to go back to a simple chronological feed with only the people that we follow. But guess what? Instagram's chief, Adam Mosseri, gave us some answers in a recent Q&A session that he held last week with Social Media Today. And spoiler alert, it is not happening anytime soon. So before we get into the why, like I said before, would you actually want to control your feed and see more from people that you just follow in a timely fashion? And although a lot of us say that we want this, data shows otherwise. So Mosseri explained it pretty clearly in his Q&A session with Social Media Today. So whenever Instagram tests a following only feed, people use the app less. Yeah, we're not on there nearly as much. You heard that right. Less engagement, less scrolling, fewer likes, fewer comments, and overall, people report being less satisfied with Instagram. Crazy, right? Because isn't this something that we all grew up or we all started with social media doing it this way? We all started by seeing social media in a timely fashion by following people and connecting with people and, oh, I'll follow you and let's get connected. Are you on Facebook? Let's see what each other is doing. So why would a feature that we all think we want, this is how social media started, why would it actually lead to lower engagement? And that's where things get really interesting. So according to Mosseri, Instagram has experimented with this and they've thought about going back to the chronological follow-only feed for years. And every time it starts out with a small group of beta testers or users, they're really, really happy about it. But then something weird happens and people forget that they're in the following only feed and they start using the app less. And before long, Instagram starts to see a drop in overall engagement. And here's the kicker. That drop doesn't just affect those specific users, it causes a ripple effect. So when people start using Instagram less, they send fewer likes, fewer comments, fewer messages, and that creates a chain of reaction where everyone starts using the platform less because there's less of that instant dopamine hit of likes, comments, and engagement. And that's why today, more than 50% of the content that you see in your feed on Instagram is recommended to you by its algorithm, not from the people that you follow. It's Instagram's way of keeping you interested and, more importantly, engaged, and more importantly for them, on the app more for longer, even though it might not necessarily be what you think you want. And this is where it gets even more interesting. The whole shift with this feed being less of people that you actually follow and more of what the algorithm thinks content you want to see, it's thanks to TikTok. Yes, TikTok has changed the social media game by focusing on recommendations instead of who you follow. It's all about showing you the most entertaining content. Are you not entertained? It's not just the content from people you know. TikTok's algorithm figures out what you like based on how you engage with videos, whether you follow those creators or not. And Instagram, along with Facebook, Snapchat, even X, they've realized this and they have adjusted their algorithms and followed suit. And I want you to think about this because for me, this is one of the reasons why I'm not on TikTok, because I started getting a lot of people that are just in my phone contacts, like the babysitter for my daughters that lives up the street, who's 13. It was really weird for me to start seeing her TikToks in my feed. And then the woman that comes and cleans our house, I started seeing her TikTok show up in my feed. And it's because I have their phone number saved in my phone. I started seeing a bunch of content that I was like, I didn't know I really wanted to see this or if I should see this. And it's an entirely different algorithm, folks. And think about it. Before TikTok, Facebook and Instagram were built on the strength of your social graph. So basically, they knew everything about your friends, families, interests, and connections on the platform. And that is how they served their content. But with TikTok, they changed the game. It became all about discovering new stuff. And Instagram, they couldn't afford to miss the trend. So now, even if you don't follow someone, Instagram's algorithm is showing you what it thinks you'll want to engage with the most. Isn't technology amazing, everyone? and I want to go back to the big question of how we started today's episode of, is a following only feed something that could ever happen on Instagram again? And the answer really just comes down to time. So the more time that you spend on the app, that's what Mark Zuckerberg, that's what these tech giant wants. They want, because then the more time you spend, the more ads that you are going to be able to see, the more ads that Instagram can show you. And that translates into more money for them. The data shows that algorithm-driven feeds keep people on the app longer. Even if we say that we're annoyed by seeing the random content, Instagram has the numbers to prove that we'll stick around and just wait to see the content that we signed up for. And for them, that's all that matters. And now for just a quick break. You've heard me talk about some of my favorite social media tools on the show, and one of them is a tool called Metricool. Metricool allows you to plan, analyze, and grow your digital presence all in one place. From websites to LinkedIn to YouTube, you can track everything that you're doing online and see just what's working and what isn't. Check out Metricool today at katiebrinkley.live/cool. Just a note, if you use the links I provide, I may receive compensation. All right, let's get back to the show. So Mosseri did acknowledge this. So he did acknowledge that there are a group of people who do really want to see their connections content first, and Instagram is still exploring ways to cater to those users. They've added in different features like following feed and favorites feed, where you can select specific accounts, whose posts you never want to miss. And I mean, honestly, it's still in my account settings. I set it up when those options first came out, and I haven't touched it since. So, I mean, I went through, spent the time and effort and created these following feeds and favorites feeds, and I still just open up the regular old home feed anytime I open up the gram. So this is just something to keep in mind. You can do that, but if you're looking for that full chronological follow-only feed, don't hold your breath because it's not coming anytime soon. So I want you to think about this. What does this mean for us as business owners, as people that are using Instagram to market our business? Well, it means that we will have to adapt. If you want to reach more people, it's not just about getting more followers anymore. And I'm so glad that that's changed. It's not about the amount of followers you have. That is just a vanity metric. And yes, it's always great to have more people following you, but really, it's not about the followers that matter anymore. It's about creating content that the algorithm loves and that resonates with your target audience. Instagram's AI is now your biggest ally or your biggest enemy, depending on how you look at it. The key is to focus on the content that drives engagement. So think reels with trending audio, images that stand out in the feed, and posts that encourage shares. That's one of the best, the little paper airplane icon. You can now see how many times a piece of content has been shared from somebody else. So, I mean, This is content that Instagram is prioritizing. And while it might feel frustrating to not have total control over what your audience sees, the upside is that if you do create good content, Instagram will push it out to even more people who aren't even following you yet. And that is a huge opportunity if you know how to leverage it. So here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to look at your Instagram strategy. Are you creating content that is built to succeed in this algorithm first world? Or are you creating content for the vanity metrics? If you're creating content that is good content that is resonating with your audience, you are in the algorithm first content creation strategy. And if you're not, well, it's time to pivot. Trust me, folks, you know how I feel with video. It is my Achilles heel. Lean into reels, lean into showing up on camera, focus on the engagement. Don't be afraid to experiment with creating new types of content to see what the algorithm favors. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.